Hi everyone, so we're continuing on our quest to solve the 2015 A-Level Maths paper P3 2015 Maths A-Level. So we are on question 3, which tells us that the angles theta and phi lie between 0 and 180, so they are in the first quadrant and second quadrant, so either the first or the second. And we have two equations. So we have tan theta minus phi equals 3 and tan theta plus tan phi equals 1. So theta and phi satisfy the two equations. Okay, so we need to find the possible values of theta and of phi. So that's a pretty easy question. Let's see how to do it. So there you go. I said that theta and phi lie in the first or second quadrant. And I use an identity. Let me zoom out. So I use the identity, which is shown here. And you should try to remember those identities. And if you practice enough, you should remember them. But also feel free to use the formula sheet. So tan theta minus phi is tan theta minus tan of phi divided by 1 plus tan theta tan phi equals 3. So that's the first equation, right? So we can then use the second equation, which is tan theta plus tan phi equals 1. So I rewrote this as tan theta equals 1 minus tan phi and substitute that into here. So put into here. There you go. So now you obtain, replacing tan theta with 1 minus tan phi, you get this equation. So 1 minus 2 tan phi divided by 1 plus tan phi minus tan squared of phi. Okay, so we can clearly see this is a quadratic, and that's why in the question they said find the possible values with an S. So we will obtain two solutions. And then we have to check whether those two solutions agree with the fact that they must lie, theta and phi must lie in the first or second quadrant. So there you go, you rearrange, you get a quadratic. You can factorize easily, so factorize this equation right here. 3 tan phi plus 1, tan phi minus 2 equals 0, so either one of them has to be equal to 0, and that's exactly what I did here. So as from here, you're basically done, you just need to do some basic algebra. So tan phi equals 2 minus a third, which gives us that phi equals 180 degrees minus tan inverse of 1/3. So phi equals 161.6. And theta equals 4/3 by using the second equation, which told us that tan theta plus tan phi was 1. So we put this one into the second equation to obtain this result, which gives us that theta equals 53.1. So the second case is that tan phi equals 2, which means that tan theta is minus 1, and this is one of the values that you should remember, and theta equals 135 degrees. And phi, well, you just take the tan inverse of 2. And you will have realized that I solved these questions quite quickly, and that's because I know what the graph of tan looks like. And you should always remember what the graph of tan looks like, and it looks like this, right? So I plotted it for the first two quadrants, which are here. So first two quadrants. Oops, let me undo this. I do not want to draw onto here. There you go. Let me draw this in orange. So those are the first two quadrants, and there you go. 135 would be halfway through, so 135 degrees. And if you go here, this should be minus 1. right? So at 45, tan would be 1. Right here. And this is why when tan inverse was minus a third, so here, so tan phi equals minus a third, say, then the angle is really, as you can see here, 180 minus tan inverse of a third, because this gives us the same answer. Because if you type, what I mean is that if you type tan inverse of minus a third in your calculator, then what you obtain is minus 18.43. So you need to convert to put it in the first two quadrants. There you go. And why is that? Well, because your calculator only outputs values given by the principal branch here. So then it's up to you to know how to convert.